Breaking news from the intelligence community specifically about the virus, the coronavirus, and its origins. Now, we know it was created in a Wuhan lab, but now there's a line of intelligence thinking and a theory that is coming together very rapidly within the U.S. intelligence community that this virus was actually created for China to be able to show the U.S. that they could create a virus, release it into the public, and then they would have superior medical capability to actually handle the outbreak of the virus in their own country.
If China did what is now being alluded to, this will be, as many sources are saying, the costliest governmental cover-up of all time. Now, China's a huge trading partner with the United States, so there's a tremendous amount of geopolitical, geoeconomic situations here. And we have to be cognizant of that as we go through this.
We know that this virus originated in Wuhan, China. We know that there is the Wuhan Institute of Virology just a handful of miles away from where the wet market was. There's still lots to learn. You should know that the United States government is working diligently to figure this out. But what we really need, Martha, we really need the Chinese government to open up. They say they want to cooperate. One of the best ways they could find to cooperate would be to let the world in, to let the world's scientists know exactly how this came to be, exactly how this virus began to spread.
We're debating publicly whether the Chinese, either intentionally or through the costliest government cover-up in in world history, did this on purpose or were negligent, as Jordan just said. Yet they also control and own a large portion of our debt. At the same time, they are a large trading partner with the United States. Cutting all ties with China, not a smart move. First of all, the world economic impact of that would be so significant that it would be impossible to even measure. But when you talk about sanctions, I think, look, as this information comes out, in my view, sanctions would be appropriate.
One, I think it's worthy of sanctions that they didn't inform the world the moment they knew that it got out of the lab. That's worthy of sanctions. But it's worthy of serious sanctions because it's almost like if they don't want to call it a bioweapon attack, it's certainly kind of like bioterrorism. And if they intentionally went into their own public to then have their own public infected so that they could show the world how quickly they could deal with the infection without thinking about the fact that they would be spreading it around the world, to me, that calls for serious action, both retaliatory and economically against China, but also, to me, Dad, this brings it back home, and maybe Than wants to address it too, the World Health Organization sitting on their hands throughout this entire process with China.
These remarks from Secretary Pompeo were not accidental. He said many countries have programs like this. In countries that are open and transparent, they have the ability to control them and keep them safe, and they allow outside observers in to make sure all processes and procedures are right. I only wish that had happened in this place. With that it being the context, Jay and Jordan, where in the world is the World Health Organization? When you talk about sanctions for they didn't allow outside inspectors in to make sure that the viruses were being handled properly. I would think sanctions would be a starting point. But the second piece of that is something that President Trump has already started. You want to talk about the trade deal with China? I think the economic force and leverage of the United States is going to have to be leveraged on top of sanctions. And if they want to keep trading with the United States, they cannot continue to operate in this way.
Where this is going to go is either China did it intentionally or it was gross negligence. What the Chinese have done here, the government or the government cover-up, whatever it might be, is inexcusable. It is a violation of international law. It is a violation of basic human rights and human dignity. And I'd like to know where the United Nations is on this. I'd like to know where the World Health Organization actually is on this, since they've covered for China. Now, we can get involved in that at the ACLJ, and we will. We'll find out what the UN can do about this, what the World Health Organization knew about this.